Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And there was a bit of a weird controversy that popped up yesterday for Xbox's latest exclusive title. And because the nature in which this happened, it was very misleading for the general public. So we're going to talk about that today and just kind of set the record straight and just how all of this happened in the first place. Also, PlayStation, they're introducing a bonus for their PlayStation Plus subscription. Might not necessarily be what you would have expected from a game subscription, but at the same time, it's still a nice bonus nonetheless. Before we get started, though, do make sure to hit that subscribe button. I looked at my analytics last night, and I noticed about 50% of you all currently aren't subscribed, so do make sure to do that, and do also ring that bell. That way you can get your daily gaming news dose as soon as I drop a new video, which is every weekday, Monday through Friday. Seriously, though, I mean, thank you all just so much for your support. I truly do appreciate each and every single one of you all. You all are just awesome, so thank you. But with that said, let's just go and jump right into the news, starting off with CyberPunk 2077, because CD Projekt Red just announced that it's officially surpassed 25 million units sold. Now, to just kind of put that into perspective, CD Projekt Red confirmed that it reached 25 million much faster than The Witcher 3, which, as we all know, was crazy successful. That's not only viewed as one of last generation's best games, which, by the way, it very much is, but it's also viewed as one of the greatest RPGs of all time. And to see them have even more success with CyberPunk, I mean, that is a true testament to their studio and the world that they bring to life. I mean, sure, CyberPunk didn't exactly get off to the most perfect start. We all know this. It's had some bugs and issues, but as I said back then, and I'll say it again right now, it was always a good game. And now that they've actually fixed it up and have kind of revived it with some different updates, including a next generation upgrade, fans are truly seeing that for themselves. A lot of fans are revisiting this game now, and in fact, Phantom Liberty, its new expansion, has also already sold 3 million units in just its first week alone. That is pretty incredible stuff, so just big congrats to CD Projekt Red. My hat's off to them here. Now, if you are a fan of this series, though, they did also have a few other teases as well that you might be interested in. They announced a new live-action project in partnership with Anonymous Content, which, I mean, Edgerunners, that had a lot of success, so why not go and try live action as well? And speaking of Edgerunners, the studio that worked on that anime might be working with CD Projekt Red once again. They did slyly say this: what's also important is that Trigger, our partner, has certain rules for announcing projects, and we have to be compliant with this. In other words, they're working together once again, but CD Projekt Red can't actually announce it themselves. It sounds like they want to, but they just can't. So yeah, if you liked that anime, it does sound like you might have something else to look forward to in the future. Now, here's something that's actually pretty big news in the grand scheme of things. Diablo IV is now officially the next Activision Blizzard game planned for a Steam release, and it's actually coming very soon at that. It will be out on October 17th, which, interestingly enough, is just one day before the Xbox Activision Blizzard deadline. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation that maybe, just maybe, Xbox has had an encouraging hand in Blizzard finally supporting Steam after all of these years. It is kind of a coincidence, you know. After all, Xbox is a big Steam supporter, and, well, Diablo, this is a massive series, especially over on PC. So to see it finally come over to Steam after all of these years, the biggest PC storefront, you know, this is a pretty big inclusion here. It'll be much more accessible now with a far bigger reach. I think the only downside here is that there's a very good chance that Diablo 4 will be review bombed, and Blizzard's not exactly used to that type of thing. People are going to let their frustrations out in the reviews if they're not happy with a particular patch or anything like that. I mean, we just recently saw that with Diablo, so we'll see how all of that plays out, but, you know, this is a big-time RPG that's going to get a ton of new content for years and years to come. So it's definitely nice to see Steam finally get the Diablo experience. Okay, so let's go and talk about this big controversy for Forza, though, because This absolutely blew up online yesterday. There was initially a lot of confusion and there was a lot of misleading pictures that were circulating online. In fact, there is still some of that to a degree because, well, console wars, those warriors, they put up a valiant fight, let me tell you. But what's happening here is that IGN posted a Gran Turismo 7 versus a Forza comparison. These two have been duking it out for decades now, and fans always like to compare the two, so, this alone is not inherently bad on its own. But the Forza images and footages that were being showcased was nothing short of atrocious. It looked bad, and I mean really bad, and fans immediately said, there's no way this is possibly true. There's no way that Forza looks that bad. I mean, there's other videos out there that we can see, and we see that it looks absolutely stunning. So why does IGN's video specifically look this bad? So there was a lot of back and forth between fans and IGN's Destin, who published this video, and IGN did eventually take the video down, and the reason is because, yes, there actually was something wrong. Digital Foundry posted their own video, and they did a pretty good job as usual. They said that Forza is a huge upgrade over Forza 7, and they also pointed out that there is a gamma bug in Forza that messes with the visuals if you don't restart your game after changing visual modes. It's a pretty strange bug that's affecting people, but Turn 10 is working on an update right now. Hopefully they'll get that out soon, and that's what's happening in the IGN video, or at least in the original. They were sharing bugged footage and images. Now, Dustin did apologize and explain himself in a pretty lengthy post over on Twitter. Truthfully, I think that this was an honest mistake that a lot of people could have easily made themselves if they weren't aware of the issue. It could have happened to really anybody, but with that, a lot of people still seem to feel otherwise, and that is a big underlying story with this situation. The Xbox community right now is already very suspicious of IGN for their recent Xbox coverage. To them, this is just another mistake among many, many mistakes, and then plus the whole Starfield fiasco. That doesn't really help the situation either. So there is this belief within the Xbox community that IGN hasn't been fair towards Xbox and is trying to damage their brand. And because of that, despite Destin's apology, I've seen a lot of skepticism thrown his way, and of course at IGN. So there is absolutely a distrust towards IGN right now. Again, though, and this is only my opinion, but I really do believe this was just an honest mistake. I mean, I can understand the IGN distrust. I get that. Some of the things that they've done, yes, does look suspicious, but at the same time, I don't think that Destin intentionally did this. I mean, at the end of the day, you can believe what you want, but if anything, there is a silver lining here because, this also did bring a lot of attention to a bug that can, yes, affect consumer experiences as well. So if you're playing Forza right now, and if you think it looks a little bit off, maybe go ahead and try restarting your game and then avoid the display settings within the game. For the time being, though, if you do see an image online that looks bad for Forza, you can just go ahead and ignore it. Console warriors, they're gonna showcase that type of thing, but it's just a bug, and the game actually looks stunning in motion if you haven't seen already. Now, moving on though, PlayStation also announced a pretty interesting addition to their PlayStation Plus Premium and Deluxe subscriptions. I mean, they recently jacked up the price quite significantly, as we all know, unfortunately at that. So there's been some questions about how can they improve it, and how can they actually justify this new asking price. Well, I think most of us was just kind of hoping for more day one games. Yeah, that's the hope, right? But so far, they're going in a little bit of a different direction than I think most of us were maybe expecting. Instead, they announced that Sony Pictures Core, which was previously named Bravia Core, is heading over to the PlayStation 4 and the PS5. Now, this is their own video streaming service where you can buy or rent up to 2,000 movies that are in their catalog, kind of like Prime Video, if you will. You'll also be able to purchase select Sony Picture films while they're in exclusive early access, such as the new Gran Turismo movie as one such example. I've been hearing pretty good things about that movie. And all that, I guess, it's okay and everything, but here's the part that you all are going to want to know about specifically. They also announced that a curated catalog is coming over to PlayStation Plus Premium and Deluxe. This will include 100 different movies that'll be updated periodically over time. Movies will come and go as you would expect with a subscription service. And I mean, like I said, this might not necessarily be what fans were expecting, but at the end of the day, this is really only a bonus. If you're already a subscriber, this will add an extra benefit to your subscription. Now, I still 100% believe they need to improve their game catalog. Let's kind of keep the main thing here. I'm certainly not going to subscribe for movies. There's a lot of other subscriptions out there that's going to do this much better. So they still need to make games a priority. I personally think that including their first-party games more frequently would go a long way. Now, I don't think that they have to include them day one like Xbox does. I don't think that they necessarily need to do that, but maybe, 6 months to a year after release and be transparent about the situation. I think that if they were to do something like that, then it might be worth it for a lot of fans. For the time being, though, these movies are a nice bonus. I don't think it's suddenly going to make PlayStation Plus Premium the most enticing game subscription in the world, but it's a nice bonus, if anything else. Let me know what you all think, though. Do you like this idea, and does it justify their new price tag or not? Now, since I'm on the topic of PlayStation, though, here's some very welcome news because apparently Rockstar is listening to fan feedback after all. If you remember right, there was a big controversy over their PlayStation 4 Red Dead Redemption port here recently. Fans had been asking for this port for years and years, and then when they finally did it, it just seemed like it was a zero-effort port. It was still locked to 30 frames per second, and there was no native PS5 version. So to say fans were disappointed by the PlayStation 4 release, is probably a little bit of an understatement. Well, the good news is that Rockstar has officially fixed the problem with a surprise update. Now, the PlayStation 4 version, when played on the PlayStation 5 via backwards compatibility, can now run at 60 frames per second. So, there you go. There's a little bit more of a reason to actually buy into this game. Now, with that said, this also introduces a different problem because something else the fans took notice of is that Rockstar didn't release a 60 FPS update for the Xbox version, and that's probably because the Xbox version is running through the original Xbox 360 release via backwards compatibility. So at the time they did this port, there really wasn't much of a reason to make an Xbox version because it already runs great on the Xbox Series currently as is. But now that they've pushed out a 60 FPS update on the PlayStation end, Xbox fans are kind of wondering, well, what about us? So we'll see if Xbox fans can maybe get their attention in the long run. I mean, it took PlayStation fans and PC fans are still asking, so we'll see what happens with all that. But for the time being, I'd say the best place to play Red Dead currently would be the PlayStation 4 version. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though. We're asked you all, do you plan on revisiting any 3DS or Wii U titles before they shut down the Nintendo network? And yeah, there's a small portion here that's looking to do exactly that. Now, it is expected that most of you won't, as the majority of people have kind of moved on to other consoles, but there are still some people out there that has fond memories of some of these games, and, this will be our last opportunity to kind of play them on the Nintendo network. I know Mario Kart 7, that's an amazing multiplayer experience, and it's too bad to see it kind of set off in the sunset here. I think one of the bigger issues with this situation, though, really just kind of comes down to games that uses online features in their single-player games. As we talked about yesterday, people are already having problems with games like Bravely Default because it does use online features and it's no longer online. So that just kind of brings us back to Pretendo here. They said that their goal was to get all of these games on their servers, so glad they exist, and hopefully these games will still have a future. I do want to kind of ask you all, though, for those that are going to go back and play a multiplayer game on one of these platforms, let me know your experience in the comments. Are you finding enough other people online to fill lobbies rather quickly, or is that a problem right now? Either way, though, here's to the 3DS and the Wii U. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.